Hello, my name is Jordan Dias, and this is my ePortfolio. I chose this cover image as a representation of my journey in becoming a reflective educational leader. This picture was taken in the mountains outside of Brasov in Romania. The sword represents my intuition for fighting educational issues, and the stern face represents my determination. No idea why I'm holding this shield. The About Me section of my portfolio outlines my philosophy on learning, teaching, and impact on the community. I've known that I've wanted to be a teacher since I was a young kid. I had a teacher that made a large impact in my life, and as I got older, I wanted others to be inspired and feel the same way that he had made me feel. I will go I will talk about different features that I consider to be important when acting as an educational leader throughout my ePortfolio. Growing up in Milton, Ontario introduced me to a variety of different religions, ethnicities, values, and ways of thinking. This is because Milton is such a multicultural town. After I decided that I wanted to be a teacher, I realized that if I wanted to empathize with my students, I would have to become a global citizen. This journey has led me to 36 countries around the world and with countless stories. I have made this a priority in my life to understand how different school systems work in different parts of the world and how different teachers educate their students. I have reflected on these discoveries in hopes that they will build my capacity as an educational leader. For my philosophy of learning section, I subscribe to two major principles that root the learning process. These two principles emphasize how I view the concept of learning in general and why I believe every student and staff member has the ability to achieve self-actualization. The first principle is the myth of natural-born talent and the power of practice. I learned about this principle in a book called Bounce that was written by Matthew Syed. This was referred to me by a teacher I look up to in the last school I taught at in England. How this principle has impacted how I approach education is that I do not believe people are born with an innate talent. Talented individuals are created through purposeful practice. The second principle is training individuals to have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. In order to have a growth mindset, you must feel safe in the classroom and in your working environment. This influences the rules that I implement in my classroom and in the way that I talk to and treat others. In this picture here, you will see me, number 14, falling over on the ice while scoring a goal. This is far from a Bobby Orr moment and is more indicative of me learning to score goals while staying on my feet at the same time. This photo here just compares the growth mindset to a fixed mindset and some common statements that go with each mindset. The next section here is on my teaching philosophy. So this involves, my teaching philosophy involves preparing students for the white water that they will experience in their lives and in their profession. I spent a lot of time building a framework that individuals can use to create their own success. I do this mainly through being the catalyst that facilitates the learning process. The specifics of my teaching style are found in this section. In my philosophy on impacting the community, I believe that educational leaders should focus on getting staff and students involved in community initiatives that provide a lasting, positive impact on society at large. Community service is the seed from which compassion and empathy grow. My contribution in this regard has been through coaching youth sporting teams and raising money for the women's shelters in my community. This is me raising money here for the Halton Women's Place. And this is me and my father holding heels in our hand in our local newspaper, trying to build support for the walk and for the women's shelter. Now, if we drop down to my travels section, has a map here of all the countries I've been. They're highlighted in blue. And these are just some pictures of some places I've been and interesting things I've seen. This section will grow through time. When clicking on the graduate work tab, you'll be greeted with a photo of, here we are, my cohort members and the name of the program and where I went to school. Under the leading tab, I have photoshopped a picture of myself on Superman's body, with the leading as an agent of change message in the middle. This symbolizes my aspirations within the field. On the first day of our program, we were shown a slide that describes the principal's new role in education and key attributes of being successful in that regard. This slide really struck me as an excellent framework from which to view the parts of being an academic leader. It is from these three cogs that I can create goals for future capacity building. One of my favorite parts of the residency was participating in the World Cafe. I really connected with the colleagues I worked with during this event. I was very excited to receive a digital graphic recording of the event on the conclusions that we got from collaborating. This piece of evidence is something that I can refer back to throughout my career and is something that I can attempt to maybe recreate on a variety of concepts with different groups of colleagues at different points in my career. The main ideas that resonated with me the most were that with being a progressive educational leader in the digital age are making sure to implement flexible learning models, striving to master a systems thinking approach, and teaching, increasing teacher capacity, and achieving organization goals/outcomes through collaboration, investing in building my team, and using data to inform decisions. The Making Change Happen section is a reflection on an attempt to implement change in a school system using a systems thinking approach via video game practice. I picked the screenshot of my change game recording as a piece of evidence because of how it got me to consider and practice implementing large-scale change within the school system. This is something that I do not have a lot of practice with at this point in my career. Going through the steps outlined in the PowerPoint during class to reflect on the game and the choices that were made was pivotal for opening up my eyes on the complexity of being an educational leader and doing a good job. It's very easy to see how leaders achieve less than desirable results with good intentions. I replayed the game a few times and had greater success as I went. The result here is after numerous tries with me and my teammates to eventually see some success. This process was very healthy for me to go through, as I felt it really helped me give me a low risk environment for me to attempt to implement change. The diagram of the 5 learning disciplines shows a model that was great at introducing to me systems thinking and all the components for its success. Under the Learning tab of my ePortfolio is a photo of me attempting to stand up in an air-filled bubble in a pool. I thought this was a great metaphor for surviving in a world of permanent white water and the challenges associated with it. This section is divided into pre-residency, residency, and as the program continues, I plan to add to it and have a section for my post-residency classes. At the beginning of my pre-residency, I took a very relaxed pace for my readings and my assignments. The material was more dense than I had anticipated and required me to research more concepts and words than I am comfortable sharing with on this presentation. Meaningful reflection takes time, energy, and focus. I have a hammock in my living room to help me with this endeavor. My residency section is divided into community building, collaborative assignments, and understanding teaching perspectives. The community building part of residency was one of my favorite parts. Understanding the concept behind why community building is so important is something that came quickly to me during my many opportunities for it in this residency. The two photos that go with this section were two of my favorite parts. Some of the key takeaways I got from analyzing the benefits of community building were it's easier to be academically vulnerable when you're around colleagues you know and trust. Another is that there is power in numbers. And when I say this, I mean that a lot can get done when we work together. Building a strong community is key to implementing change in systems thinking. And you cannot make significant change without the support of colleagues in administration. My final point is that distance education will become easier as I get to know people behind the screen, and it has so far. This is because I know how busy my colleagues are, their family situations, how busy they are through the school year, and what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how they manage and deal with technology. Under the collaborative assignment section, there are 3 pictures. The top one shows my group's thinking process. For making conclusions on our critique for our article by Peter Groen. The second photo was the team that I worked with for the majority of our residency, who I also did this project with up here. And the third photo is the group that I had, Team 5, for analyzing dialectic approaches in contemporary leadership. I feel that during this residency, I became more aware of the processes involved with being a good team member. This is through action and learning. The dialectic approaches in contemporary leadership, in our contemporary leadership presentation, taught me about how different personality traits are advantageous to different scenarios in different ways, and how to resolve conflicts as a result of having different traits than other people, and how to utilize people's strengths. Working with different colleagues on a variety of collaborative activities provided me with a few benefits. First, tasks seemed a lot less daunting and formidable in a group setting. Secondly, complex tasks were completed significantly faster with others than by myself. And finally, we were able to look at problems from multiple angles and reach deeper levels of critical thoughts when discussing topics while collaborating. Many times people saw angles of certain issues that I didn't see originally, and I really learned from that. In my Understanding Teaching Perspectives section are my TPI results. The main conclusion that I got from this test is that different learning scenarios require different styles of instruction. This means that different teachers will have different perspectives on what it takes to provide optimal instruction. I can use my understanding of these teaching perspectives to relate to other teachers and help them with their teaching practices. As I progress through my master's program, I plan on keeping up my influential readings and media section and adding a resume and contact section as well. I really hope that this website can grow and I can put it on my resumes to really show what I've learned. Thank you.